15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah. It's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
I'm probably taking it for granted, and maybe it gives this manager a lot more anxiety, agita. Maybe this gives him a lot more sleepless nights than I'm making it out to be on the radio,
stop.
but I tend to believe that he's used to this.
What did you just say?
Agita? Anxiety.
Here we go.
What's the problem?
2 times this week, you've used words that mean Marty have no idea
Agita?
what they are.
You guys never heard of
No,
agita?
Never
I
heard
have
of
not.
agita.
Come on, man. I mean, I don't expect everybody to know Sisyphus, but
Agita?
agita.
Okay, is that with an O or an A? Agita.
I think it's like Italian for
spelling bee now?
agitate.
Welcome to the Darren Smith Show.
This is the big one, boys. This is the one that brings us back. Soon, AM radio will reign king once more. Oh, yeah.
Now here's Darren
We love you. We love you forever and ever.
on Extra 1360.
Hey there, greetings to you. It is a Thursday. It is July the 1st, everybody, 2021. How about that? Good afternoon, I'm Darren Smith. This is Extra 1360. That's where you can find us on AM radio at AM 1360, but it's not the only way to listen to this radio station. You can find us on FM. Got a couple different options there. One, non-HD, 103.3. You can find us on HD at 1015, channel number 2, 1015, channel 2, KGB2. That's the HD audio platform for us. The iHeartRadio app, stream us. Pump us through your Bluetooth speakers, however it is, through your headphones. If you're in the workplace, the iHeartRadio app has been downloaded by tens of millions of people. And if you're not one of them, you should be. You can listen to us wherever, whenever, and however you would like via our little baby boy, the iHeartRadio app. SportsSD.com, our website, smart speakers with voices and names like Siri, like Alexa. If you ask them to stream the show, say, hey, Alexa, stream Extra 1360 in San Diego. Boom, our voices will pop right up. Or whatever time of the day it is. Maybe you'll do it a little later on this afternoon. It'll be John and Rich. Maybe you'll do it a little later on this evening, whatever time that might be. And it'll be the wrap-up show with Jim and I don't know who. I don't know. I lose tabs on this sort of stuff. 3 hours today. Up into the loose cannons as we inch closer and closer to the holiday weekend, which will begin sooner for some rather than others. Apologies to all of the Clipper fans out there in our audience. I don't know how many of you there are. I just know that there's one of them that sits right here close to me each and every day, and it says simply on our rundown, damn it, Clippers. Damn it, Clippers. Our best bets yesterday failed, at least the best bet of one Marty Caswell, who I think predicted that the Clippers would go on and would win at least Game 6 and live to fight another day in Game 7 against the Phoenix Suns. But not to be last night. Chris Paul, 16 years in this league now, going to the very first NBA Finals of his career. Who doesn't love a story like that? Well, a lot of people, because a lot of people don't like Chris Paul. We just continue to learn that season after season after season. But did watch a lot of it, and our condolences here. We pour some out for Marty and her Clippers. What?
Martha, what's going on?
Doing all right today?
Yeah, doing good. I mean, it was at least they didn't lose like in buzzer beater, painful, dramatic last second action. That was over. I mean, it was over from the start. And I remember thinking, gosh, now I'm glad that I did not take you up on your highly generous offer to pay for courtside seats, Darren, so I could celebrate, with Paul George and the Clippers. So no.
Still could have seen a team advancing to the Western Conference
I
to
know.
the NBA Finals, which I always think is something if you've never seen it before. I don't know that I've ever seen that. I've been to NBA Finals games. I've been to the clinching game in the NBA Finals a couple of times. I've never seen that though. Never had an opportunity to see something like that.
Historic.
And then Chris Paul Chris Paul CP3 getting up there and saying I'm always a Clipper. Words like that have never been spoken where he says I'm always going to be a Clipper as he's standing there in the middle of Staples Center.
No.
I'm always going to be a Clipper, but these dudes over here, there's this funny moment for those that were watching the game and again, I would have been fine either way. I think about our guy Lee Jenkins.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see Kawhi Leonard. I'm not partial at all to the Clippers because they used to be here or because regionally or because they're the anti-Lakers or anything like that. Like, I think we would be talking about the Western Conference Finals regardless of who was in it. If this had been Phoenix, let's say, in Minnesota, but still. The whole Kawhi Leonard factor, I think, for some people around here that matters. Mm-hmm. He wasn't there. But there was this funny moment after the game where, the Phoenix Suns win and you see Chris Paul and, they started to put the ropes up around the court at Staples Center. And there are people there. There were a lot of Phoenix fans there. And, those people took advantage. They definitely took advantage of those tickets that were going for $88 24 hours ago. And there's this moment, I don't know who was watching. Did you watch through the post game, through the trophy presentation, through some of the post game interviews, things along those lines? Because the Padre game was long gone. Yeah. And
they were in delay or something was happening.
And Shohei Ohtani got bombed out in the first inning. So, I don't know what else there would have been on your plate last night, even though you offer all of these other wonderful non-sports suggestions and TV listings, which will be here a little later on. Mm-hmm. But there's this moment where Chris Paul, the game's over, he's celebrating, and they're searching for different people. They're searching for different people, right? And there's audio here on the rundown, if you don't mind. I will cue this. So you're seeing Chris Paul, and I think who's he interacting? Who are they bantering with? They're chatting it up with somebody, and you see this blonde hair come into the screen, and Chris Paul gives this person just a ridiculous hug, right? Like it's a shorter person than Chris Paul. These are basketball players. Chris Paul not the tallest guy, 6'2", 6'3", I'm guessing somewhere in that range. Right, like by comparison, standing next to Giannis, standing next to DeAndre Ayton, standing next to Shaq, it's tiny. And, he now is hugging somebody with blonde hair. And I'm like, wow, what a great moment that is. Is that Chris Paul's mom? Like, that looks like Chris Paul's mom down there on the court. Like, after 16 years, think what you want. This is an edgy player. This is a player who a lot of people, including a lot of those Clippers, they don't like. They do not like him. Our own Tim Russell doesn't like Chris Paul at all. And he just proudly waved his hand because he would love to tell you how much he dislikes this guy. And I get it. I do. He's the classic, love him on your side, hate him on the other team. They got a bunch of those dudes. Him and Jay Crowder are like the ultimate, love him on my team, hate him if I got to face him. Hate them both. But you see this wonderful moment and you see this, this blonde hair, and Chris Paul grabs this person and hugs this person, and something is said, and you're like, wow, what a wonderful moment for this player who's been around forever. I presume that's his mom. And then Mark Jackson tells us exactly who it is.
Chris Paul acknowledging Lil Wayne and the support that he has shown, the love he has shown for the Phoenix Suns, believing in them, supporting them, being around them. He wants to be part of this celebration.
Yeah, Lil Wayne. Sorry, with all apologies to Lil Wayne or to Chris Paul's mom. I don't even know what that, I cannot have been the only person who thought that was a relative, that was a female relative of Chris Paul's. But then Mark Jackson brought me right back to reality to say, no, that's not, that's Lil Wayne. He's celebrating down there with Lil Wayne. I was like, oh boy, did I have that one wrong. Were you guys watching that? Did anybody?
I picked out Lil Wayne instantly.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't think that was his mom.
This blonde hair from behind. Could anybody know who that was? How would you know that was Lil Wayne?
I don't even know. Maybe I've just seen. I don't know, but I knew right away that was Lil Wayne.
You did? From the back of his head?
I did. Maybe I've seen something recently with him, but I recognize the hair immediately.
I don't know.
Plus, I think his mom is short.
You're probably on the air, so.
Hey, put Tim on the mic.
This is Jim. I was actually watching that game because the Padres were still in a rain delay.
Okay, right.
And I wanted to watch the rest of the game because we're only podcast only last night. I'm with you, man. I thought that was his mom, bro. I'm like, wait, Lil Wayne? Right. And by the way, just a side note, can we just punt Mark Jackson so far away from any NBA broadcast ever again? He is unlistenable.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really?
So unlistenable.
St. John's legend there.
I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. He said that Chris Paul taking the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals could be the greatest accomplishment ever for any player.
Maybe a bit of an overstatement there.
You think?
Maybe. Maybe that's overstating it just a little.
I also don't like him for his Warrior stuff.
LeBron and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story. Regardless of how you feel, if you can objectively look, you can say, that's a great story.
The Monty Williams story, I think, is better.
I would agree. And I felt like Monty Williams got somewhat shortchanged here. But I did. I saw that. I just saw this blonde hair coming into the picture. And Chris Paul seemed so passionate about hugging this person. And this person was significantly smaller than Chris Paul. And you just sort of presumed, at least I did, and I was way off base here. I just sort of said, oh, wow, what a cool moment. He's got his mom there. He's got some relative. I don't know, his wife. And then Mark Jackson's there to tell me that it's Lil Wayne. You knew that was Lil Wayne. How'd you know that? Had they showed him earlier and I missed it?
I don't know. No, I don't think they were showing him courtside, but I don't know why I knew. I just something about the walk and the hair.
Chris Paul acknowledging Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
And
not Chris Paul's mom.
Great.
And then Billy Crystal, too. Billy Crystal was there, and he's like, oh, he's family, bro.
Hey, great Billy Crystal, he's family, bro. Yeah, gosh, of course he has to get a technical late. And I will say this, and it brings up a separate conversation about sportsmanship at the professional level. Patrick Beverley gets ejected from this game for a two-handed shove from behind of Chris Paul late into this one. I guess he's recently apologized. I don't know.
On the Twitter.
Okay, well,
essentially like my bad.
I sort of can appreciate. I whole understand like the sportsmanship thing, and if you're a little league parent out there, what do you want me to tell you? But this is professional sports. This isn't little Johnny's little league team. And I get it. Like you'd like to see some sportsmanship and some appreciation, all that sort of stuff. But there's also, after a 6-game series where there's general disdain, like I don't mind a little bit of that. And I sort of appreciate a player like Patrick Beverley who's got to play this brand of basketball because let's be honest, he's not the most skilled person out there on the NBA level. I mean, in a rec league, yeah. But, Patrick Beverley, two-handed shove. Chris Paul knocks him down to the court. I can sort of appreciate a guy's like, I'd rather get ejected from this game than watch these guys celebrate on this court. You know what I mean? Like, and that's exactly what he's doing there. Like Patrick Beverley knows what he's all about. That's why people hate this guy. That's why I couldn't wait to see if the Portland Trailblazers were going to chime in. The Trailblazers love it when the Clippers lose. I do appreciate that.
Invite him to Cabo or something like they did last year.
Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, those guys can't wait to start making fun of the Clippers. So, I was hoping to see some of that, but Damian Lillard has gone radio silent, at least last I checked.
But he was busy because he was at the WNBA game courtside with LeBron James.
Oh.
So they were far too busy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's another segment later in the show.
Here we go.
That's a totally different segment somewhere later in the show. Where's Julius Randle when you need him? But, that said, and I must admit the whole sportsmanship level, on that level, I don't expect it. And there is part of me, I know I'm not supposed to say this sort of stuff, but there is part of me that will appreciate a guy who would rather just get ejected from a game than watch another team win the Western Conference on his home court. Am I alone in that one, too?
No, I totally see it. And his apology came like an hour ago. He tweeted directly to Chris Paul saying, emotions got the best of me last night, gang. My bad. Wasn't meant for you. Congrats on making it to the finals. Best of luck.
Wasn't meant for
Thumbs
you.
up.
Who was it meant for? I mean, with both hands, he physically shoved him down to the basketball court.
I just wanted
Of course it was meant for you. Like, who was it meant for? Devin Booker? Who was it meant for? Damian Lillard? I mean, that's the only guy it could have been intended for. So I don't know. Like I said, in that moment, I kind of went, I'm not advocating for it, to paraphrase a Chris Rock line. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying I kind of understand. I kind of understand in that moment. Patrick Beverley's out there to be an agitator. That's who he is. This is what inspired one of the great rants from Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Kevin Durant. Like, you think I'm messing around with Patrick Beverley? Like, I'm Kevin Durant. That's the role that Patrick Beverley plays. And another guy who, on another team, you're like, God, man, brutal. Hate him. But on your squad, you sort of love what he delivers. I don't know. I guess I just, after years of doing this, I don't know that I'm offended by poor sportsmanship in those kind of moments anymore. I don't know that everybody needs to shake hands and hug. Like I said, on your local little league, yes. But not at that level. I'm not expecting it. Padres win last night. Padres win a goofy one. Padres give up 4 in the first inning, and you sort of say to yourself, the easy analysis was, well, this isn't what the Padres need right now. It's having a starter getting bombed out here in the first inning. Is Musgrove just going to have to wear this for the betterment of the squad because of the events of the previous day? Mm-hmm. And, then he figures it out. The offense starts clicking. And then you say, well, buckle up. This is going to be one of those 14. There's absolutely no way this game was going to end 7-5.
That game was destined for 17 to 15.
14, yeah, I mean, at least double the score. I mean, at least, instead of 7-5, that was destined for 14-10.
Mm-hmm.
But, that being said, it's one of these goofy ones where, it's just 5 1/3, was it? I mean, total, an official game. And who was off last night? Was it Schaefer who was off last night?
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know how this worked out in actual real time here. Was it longer than an average game because of the rain delay, or was it shorter than an average game for you and Fletch?
So it was a shorter game. The game ended with, I think, it was still in the start of the fourth quarter for the Clippers game, or maybe it was like midway through the fourth quarter. And so we only did podcasts last night, and the game ended kind of late. So Fletch, he had to bail because he, wakes up early in the morning, and he was just like, "Hey man, I'm really tired. I don't know if I can do this." So I did a solo podcast last night in the wrap.
Oh,
did you?
Really?
Yeah. How'd it go? My apologies for not realizing that.
It's okay. We went. It was good. It's good. We had a good time.
Wait, who's we?
Who's we?
Me and myself.
Were you just in the same exact position you're in now, engineering your own show?
Yeah, I did everything.
You were a one-man band last
Played
night.
sound, talked, did it all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One-man band.
Do you
One-man
sense
band.
this is going to be a trend now? Are you like, wait a
Do you
second?
want this
Wait
to
a
be
second.
trend?
I don't need Jafer. I don't need that guy.
I could literally do everything. Do I need him?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Who else can do that? I mean, who else can actually navigate and engineer and produce their own show?
Fletch could do it.
But Fletch gets tired.
That's true. Fletch bailed. He
Bailed.
flaked.
Tired.
Tired.
Just left you.
Come on, man.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this.
So it was a weird dynamic last night because we had Clippers on the air. So just banged out a quick half-hour podcast and
Okay.
finally the
Half
Pod
hour.
Center.
All
Well,
right.
Trent Grisham hit a grand slam, hit a couple of home runs last night. Jim Russell has responded by wearing a Slam Diego T-shirt into the office today.
Right. He's back.
Were
He's
you
back in
saving
the
that?
gear.
Did you go rifling around through the Jim Russell T-shirt drawer and go, Slam Diego, feels like the right day to wear that?
Luckily, it was the top of the drawer, so I didn't have to go looking for it, and I felt appropriate today.
It did. Yeah, 7-5, man. That was quick smash and grab, wasn't it?
I liked it.
Yeah. He's like, hey, let's just
go home.
Let's just smash grab this result, get out of here and live to go a third day. Because you would have said to yourself, well, this actually isn't going to be good news for the Padres, that you've given up 4 in the first inning, and that you only had to use one relief pitcher in the game is
Tim
somewhat
Hill.
of a miracle. Mother Nature was shining, not literally, but Mother Nature was kind to the Padres.
It couldn't
last night.
have gone better for them because they have the tax bullpen, and now Blake Snell was placed on IL before the game started. Ryan Weathers is back today making a start. I don't know how long he can go. And then, you have a lot of questions ahead. So that was huge. They didn't have to use their bullpen. They only had to use 2 pitchers, just Joe Musgrove and Tim. Best case scenario for the Padres.
Best case scenario.
For that game to be called.
And you thought to yourself that this is the worst case. It's quick. It's amazing how quickly that really turned around last night. Because after the first inning, you're thinking to yourself, even if this is going to turn into a ridiculous slugfest, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night because your starter has just given up 4 runs. And it's going to be a long night because you're going to have to trot out some amount of bullpen.
What if they resume? Right. Because Musgrove had thrown how many pitches in the first inning?
37.
37 pitches. So they had to take him out at that point. So you were going to go through your bullpen regardless. If this game had gone any longer, if they had resumed this game, who knows what this rotation looks like or what the roster looks like today? You would have to make several moves.
We'll never know what Jorge Mateo could have done.
Right.
We'll never know.
I know.
He was right there waiting
man.
for it, wasn't he?
Rough way to end June, huh?
Yeah.
0 average.
Well, talked about it yesterday. There's many things to focus on with the Padres. I don't know that I have a ton of gas in my Jorge Mateo tank.
You don't have energy for that?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. I seem to think that they're doing okay with him here, and he might be one of those guys that you break out at some point, and he helps steal you a really important base and scores an important run. And in a close division like that, if he can help secure you one win somewhere down the road, maybe it'll all be worth it. But I don't have a lot else to say about Jorge Mateo, but it is Ryan Weathers tonight. If you want to read a very nice story about Ryan Weathers, and there's been many nice stories written about Ryan Weathers, there's another one today in The Athletic, and something I must admit I didn't realize. David Weathers, Ryan Weathers' dad. Now, we've all known this. We've spoken with David Weathers on the show. He's been interviewed in a lot of different places. He's been interviewed by Dennis Lynn. He's been interviewed by Ken Rosenthal. And I think if you're going to say for a guy who probably was on 7 or 8 different teams, just off the top of my head, David Weathers is most often identified as a Cincinnati Red. And we've heard these stories about Ryan Weathers taking batting practice when he was a kid and some of the stuff that came with the territory for being a Major League Baseball player's son. We've seen some of that ourselves from Tony Gwynn Jr. up and through the Hoffman kids. Like, we've seen a lot of that, in our era here of covering the team. It's always great. Like, it's always a fun. I did not realize, though, that David Weathers was a teammate of Joey Votto's. I did not realize that Joey Votto's been around that long, or that David Weathers was pitching that recently, that those two would have been teammates, if I read correctly here, in The Athletic, a story that was posted today by Ken Rosenthal. And that, now you'll have this kid who is described in the story as this pudgy kid, the son of David Weathers, who was trotting around the Reds clubhouse, trying not to be a nuisance, going out there, taking a little bit of BP here or there, doing all the sort of stuff that you've already read about. But now here's Ryan Weathers, who was in that clubhouse, who was looking up to a bunch of different players when he was a child, and he's looking up to a guy named Joey Votto. And then out there tonight, presuming, of course, that Joey Votto is going to be in the starting lineup, Ryan Weathers will get a chance to go opposite not just a uniform that is meaningful to him, but an actual player who he has some level of life experience with. And I really like that story. Like, there are not many of those. You hear from guys. Jeff Blum most recently talked about playing with Fernando Tatis and talked about playing with Vlad Guerrero. Now their kids are out there, but Blum's up in a broadcast booth. And now you get Ryan Weathers, who's going to pitch opposite a guy in Joey Votto, who he used to run around when he was just a child.
That's bizarre.
That's amazing. What a great story
It is a great story, and I didn't realize that Joey Votto has been around for 14 years.
Me
at
neither.
All. I know, like last night they had a moment because he had a career RBI 1,000 or something, and they recognized that and they gave him a curtain call. But no, David Weathers' last season in the bigs was 2009. And someone do the math, not me, but Joey Votto, 14. It's his 14th year. That's crazy.
I must admit, like, we've known this history. We know this backstory. We love it. It's charming. It's certainly part of the appeal. We liked the dad when the dad was available to us, David Weathers. I told you a stupid story about being at a game. The only foul ball in my entire life I ever caught came off the bat of David Weathers when he was a Cincinnati Red. And you sort of love that, the makeup. How did this happen for Ryan Weathers? And then I did not realize that as well. I think, Marty, to your point, I don't know. I just never connected dots here that David Weathers, because I heard stories about Adam Dunn and Ken Griffey Jr. in that clubhouse. I didn't realize that David Weathers and Joey Votto were teammates, that Joey Votto's been around that long, and that Ryan Weathers was this kid in the clubhouse who used to look up to Joey Votto. Now tonight, presumably he's going to get a chance to face him just past 4 o'clock. I think that's great. That's really cool. Anyhow, good job out of Ken Rosenthal if you want to read that. It's another, it's a little bit, there's a lot of stories that aren't making you feel real good today, and this is one I think that's making you feel good. So I look forward to that. I like those sort of angles. When we come back, maybe Tim Kirkchin will like this angle as well. This seems like it's right up Tim Kirkchin's alley.
Perfect for him.
We'll talk with Tim Kirkchin from ESPN.
1360.
All right. Let's say hello to Tim Kirkchin, ESPN, Major League Baseball insider, analyst, historian, all around. Great on-air personality. ESPN's going to have the All-Stars announcement coming up at 6 p.m. 6 p.m., everybody, not 6 a.m. I hope we didn't mislead anybody yesterday. I don't know how we got down that road. But Tim Kirkchin's here. He joins us on Extra 1360. Tim, it's Darren. Thank you very much.
How are you, Darren?
I'm great. Thank you. This is one of those Kirkchinisms where, for us here in San Diego, there's a lot of anticipation, as you can imagine, because Fernando Tatis Jr., last we all checked, had a sizable lead at the shortstop position, Tim. And as I know you know, the first time that the Padres will have a starter in the All-Star game voted in by the fans since Tony Gwynn in 1998.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, and I have a pretty good feeling that streak is going to end because of the season that he's having. But it just goes to show you how great he has been this year, because it hasn't just been him as the entire offense, but he's the only guy on the list, I believe, of the finalists of any Padres. So we have the 3 finalists at each position and 9 guys in the outfield, and he's the only guy on the Padres who's on the list. Just goes to show you how dominant he's been at his position for his team.
And 23 years, Tim, that's a long time, right? People might not even realize it's been that long since the Padres had a player voted in, a position player voted in. They've had Trevor all those years. Jake Peavy started an All-Star game, Chris Young, et cetera. But, man, to see somebody out there actually introduced. All these years later, Tim, the conversation every year, it feels like we're sort of just a skipping record about complaining how it's done, fan voting, et cetera. To me, I'm looking at this list, at least who's leading in all the different categories. I can't say I have any issues with the way this is unfolding. Your overall thoughts on how we select all-stars in the sport?
Yeah, I'm okay with it because the fans are paying the freight here ultimately. And the fans are the ones that took the brunt of it last year when they didn't even get to go to the games. Nobody's fault there. So I'm a big believer in the fans. And as many times as we can keep them involved in the game, count me in, because they're so much more important to the game than people give them credit for. And I think, among other things, that might have been the best thing that happened last year in COVID, is that everyone recognized the importance of the fans. I must have interviewed 70 players this year via Zoom at spring training about what was it like without, with playing during the COVID. And virtually every one of them said, well, we didn't have the fans and it was really different and it wasn't nearly as good. So if the fans want to vote, let them vote, I think, and we should go along with what they say, and I think they've done a good job.
Yeah, I don't disagree with many of this as I'm just scanning over it, and I don't have everybody's last statistic in front of me, but for the most part on the surface, I'm with it. Tim, and remind us again, the full rosters will be announced coming up this weekend, I believe on Sunday. How many choices do the managers of the respective teams get to make? How many players, do you know top of your head how many they get to add themselves?
I don't. It's just a couple, and this is something that's been going on just for a few years. Managers' choices. It's really hard to keep track of who gets to pick what. I've lost track a little bit, but let's just say there are 2 or 3 that the manager gets to choose on his own, and I think that's a good way to do it. Also, the more, the merrier. It used to be when I first started covering the late 70s, early 80s, when they started giving fans the votes and everything, where they would just pick the team and that would be it. Now, a lot of people are involved, and I think the more people are involved, the better.
Tim Kirkchin, ESPN, joining us on Extra 1360. We are now into July. July 30th this year, everybody, is the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Tim, we always have these conversations about buyers and sellers, and we've got a month to get into that. Who right now is in the middle? Who right now couldn't you identify as either a buyer or a seller? A team like the Cubs comes to mind. They've lost 6 straight. We know the way they got into their season here in San Diego. Certainly we know that with you, Darvish. But who are you paying attention to? Whose season can swing either direction over the next couple of weeks?
Well, the Cubs are certainly the number one team on the list because we were sure they were going to be sellers at the beginning. Then I was sure they were going to be buyers, and now I'm not so sure about anything anymore. They have 5 primary free agent players at the end of the year, and they can't keep them all. And, it's Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, Kimbrel, others. I mean, they have to make some decisions here, and I don't know what they're going to do. Darren, I'm telling you, I've seen it where a team says in late July, if we win today, we're in. If we lose today, we're out. That's how late it goes in the process. And it's possible the Cubs could be one of those teams. The Nationals have gotten really hot lately. They won 4 in a row, 8 out of 10, and they have some people that people would love, including Max Scherzer. But at this point, why in the world would they trade their best players when they're only 2 games out of first place? So I don't see them in the middle. Seattle's one of these teams that has an in-the-middle record, but logically, if you really look at it, I think you got to trade Mitch Haniger. He can really bring you something. He's a good player. You can get something in return. I think that's another team you have to look at is what are they going to do?
Everybody seems to be chatting about the Twins. I look at their record. I see, they're not very good. They're 4th in the Central, but are the Twins expected to be a team that receives a lot of phone calls for players on their roster?
Yes, I did not include them in the middle because they're 13 and a half out of first, and they're 12 games under 500. I mean, they're definitely going to be sellers, or they should be, in my mind. Now, it doesn't mean they trade Jose Barrios. He's their best pitcher, and you can't trade that guy. But if others are asking about helpful guys on your team, as long as they're not a part of the future, I think the Twins will be sellers. But only if the right deal comes along.
And Tim, I mean, listen, here in San Diego, everybody sort of said this out loud. Other executives from other teams were saying the same thing. It was a great time. The Padres were pretty much like the only buyers in the offseason. So do you get the sense what's changed between the offseason and now where the Padres were able to get you Darvish, get Blake Snell, get Joe Musgrove? Now, they traded away good players. We all know that. But, it was a good time to really be, the most aggressive buyer out there in the market. What's the market going to look like over the next 30 days? Buyer-seller market? What do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be a buyer's market. Well, I'm just not sure who's in it still.
Right.
The point is the Padres were smart in being really aggressive and going when others weren't, because they weren't sure about what would the 21 season look like, how much money do we have. A.J. Preller said, I don't care, we're going for it. But, there are going to be some really aggressive teams here. The White Sox have some money, and they may need to do something in order to really bolster themselves. If the Yankees are going to get back in this thing, they're definitely going to have to do something. It'll be interesting to see if the Mets go get some sort of hitter, because they need another one of those. And of course, Giants, Dodgers, Padres, what are those teams going to do? I don't think the Padres need to do anything. I don't think any of those three teams will do much, because I think they're all going to the playoffs at the moment.
Tim, I know this is going to sound like the craziest thing. It's going to sound crazy coming out of my mouth, but you see any circumstances under which the Angels, would entertain any offers for Shohei Ohtani?
No, he is so important. He's the best player on their team. He's the best pitcher on their team, and he's the reason you go to the games now. And even when Mike Trout comes back, there's no chance they should trade Shohei Ohtani. His value is ridiculously high. He's an amazing pitcher. He's an amazing hitter. And he would be the last guy I would trade.
Me too. I don't know why it is that people think that this is a possibility. I mean, especially not at his going rate. It's not like you have to make any decisions on this. Why would you do this just in the span of 30 days unless there's been a lot of groundwork laid unbeknownst to any of us? I can't even imagine that, but for whatever reason, it gets tossed out there, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not buying it, and the Angels need help, and yes, sometimes you have to trade your best player in order to get the help you need, but this is more than your best player. This is one of the most remarkable players we've ever seen, who's having a season that no one's ever had. You don't trade him, and you certainly don't trade him now.
Do you think he continues? I mean, how much longer do you think he continued to do both? Be both pitching and be doing the things he's doing in the batter's box?
Well, I think he's athletic enough to do all of this for the entire season and do it exceptionally well. Now, he didn't get out of the first inning yesterday, walked the first three guys he faced. His ERA went up almost a run yesterday alone. So that's a bit of a red flag. But he's so good. He's so talented. He's so athletic. I think he can do this for the whole season. But, are the Angels going to win with him doing all this? That's a pretty big question. They got to get Mike Trout back, and then they have to get some other guys really going.
How does Tim Kirchin celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day?
Well, I came to Bristol today.
Oh.
I'm doing the All-Star show tonight, which we announced the players, the starters, and then I'm doing the Diamondbacks Giants game. So I got my hands full today trying to do all this. I've got the best team in the league against the worst team in the league tonight, and that's at 10 o'clock, and then I'll be done at 1:30 in the morning, and then I'll sleep for an hour and fly home. So interesting day ahead.
All right. There you go, everybody. That's the life of Tim Kirchin. Tim, we appreciate you as always. Thank you very much.
All right, Darren. See you.
Thank you. 6 o'clock tonight, Tim Kirchin will be part of ESPN's coverage as they reveal the 2021 All-Stars,
Tonight?
including Fernando Tatis Jr.
Now, when he lays out his schedule for Bobby Bonilla Day and what he has to do, I think it would have been in the best interest of Tim Kirchin if baseball had worked around his schedule and had it at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is where I 100% saw it promoted yesterday.
Yes, 100%.
100%.
Any of you take Marty's recommendation, set your
100%.
alarms, get up, put on a cup of coffee.
Special brew of All-Star coffee.
Special brew, All-Star coffee, and get excited to tweet out Fernando Tatis Jr. starting in the All-Star game. Marty's had that tweet locked into her drafts now for a day or so.
No drafts. Nothing.
Just a normal morning. Didn't have to get up at 6, huh? Oh, well, hopefully AC did. That would have been funny. When we come back, our best bets of the day brought to you by Valley View Casino.
Canning's coming up on a Thursday already. We get started at 3. Ryan Fagan, Sporting News, is going to join us to let us know what the Padres should add before the deadline. This is now a 3-dog race in the NL West. We discuss getting started at 3 on Extra 1360 103.3 FM.
Sounds ridiculous, right? I mean, why would the Angels be trading away Shohei Ohtani? For whatever reason, I've been asked that question like 5 or 6 times this week on social media, so I don't have any answers for it, so why not ask somebody like Tim Kirchin? I'm with Tim. I just can't think of a reason why you would trade Shohei Ohtani away unless there's something behind the scenes that we're unaware of. And I don't mean something like, there's some sort of personality disorder or some sort of Trevor Bauer type. I mean, unless there's something here physically about his makeup, but All that being said, maybe they just, maybe they feel compelled. Maybe they're making it known that they need to push some reset buttons there in Anaheim. I would tend to believe you try to build around the things that you have there. But anyhow, also, I do want to correct something we said back in the show. And this is from Will Holder at Will Holder 9. Who's going by Gallo to SD on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Will is rooting for Joey Gallo. Now, explain to me where exactly Joey Gallo, because I think Russell's another one of these guys. Where's Gallo playing? What's Gallo doing for you?
He's your right fielder.
He's your right fielder. So you're putting a platoon situation, Myers, Hosmer first, or what are you doing? You're just telling Will, listen, it's been nice, but cool your jets out there on the bench for a while.
Wins are more important than ego, Darren.
And you would rather roll with Joey Gallo than Will Myers?
I would. And I actually would rather roll with Kroningbone at first base. Ha-Seong Kim at second.
Interesting.
Oh, so you're benching Hosmer and Myers
for
Joey Gallo, for Cronenworth, and for Kim, who's now, I would like to point out, as good as he's been defensively, has a 270 on base percentage.
And what is Will at? Or what is Hosmer at? Like 310?
310.
Okay. Not that great.
No.
Better defender.
I think you're right.
Makes your infield better defensively.
I would say you're right about that, too.
Upgrades your bench, maybe.
I would say you're not lying. But that's
it won't happen, but
it probably won't.
No.
That's like fantasy baseball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's Twitter baseball. But, I do think that this is a different standard. This isn't the Padres from 2017, 2018, where you say, well, you don't really do that sort of stuff. This should be, never before have we had a level of meritocracy quite like what it is that we're facing right now here in 2021, where if there's a better option, nobody's feelings should be hurt here if tough decisions have to be made. I'm not saying we got to go to those lengths. The other thing is, if you were to ask me who I think would be more productive coming down the stretch here, Eric Hosmer or Ha-Seong Kim, I probably would say Hosmer, just because I've seen Hosmer do things before, and I've never seen Ha-Seong Kim be able to do it at this level offensively. I know what the numbers say. I know what popularity looks like. But in terms of I'd like to wager and invest on things that at least I know have been true, rather than things I'm hoping could be true. And that's where I'm at in that conversation for me.
No, I would completely agree. And I would think that you put Hosmer in a platoon situation, right? Then I think you might have some problems. I just think that there could be a ripple effect that doesn't necessarily quantify in paper. I don't know that you're going to do that. But now,
what do you mean ripple effect?
No, I don't know. How do you think Eric Hosmer is going to? How do you think he would take to that?
I don't think he'd take to it very well, given that he seems to not take to legitimate columns being written about him defensively based on nothing more than quotes from the infield coach. So he's shown some pretty thin skin in the last couple of weeks, but. Is that why you don't do something that if you truly believe that this is in the best interest of the team, is that the reason why you wouldn't do something? Because you're worried about this guy sulking in your clubhouse?
No, that's not going to be why. You're going to do what you want to. You're going to do. You're going to do whatever makes your team better, and feelings be damned. But I would just be surprised for that scenario. That's all.
So you're not interested in Joey Gallo?
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, are you better team with Joey Gallo? Yeah, I'm sure you are. And you can never predict injuries, especially with this team. I would still say that, pitching is without 100% going to be your bigger priority than adding another bat.
You're not ready to change your Twitter handle to Gallo to San Diego?
I'm not quite there yet.
How about Duffy to San Diego? Who put that on the rundown today? Jim or
I did. I put that on there yesterday. I forgot. Yeah, that was I think it was John.
You want me to go from talking about Shohei Ohtani to Danny Duffy?
Yeah, I think I dare. I'm just going to say.
Does Wade Miley do it for you?
I'm just going to say that I think Duffy is Duffy is more likely than Shohei Ohtani. That's all I'm saying.
Duffy, though, he's had some forearm issues this year. So he might fit right in. Training staff would be
Padre.
like, yeah, come on, we know how to handle this.
Yeah, we've got it. We have a plan. We have a plan.
His contract's up at the end of the year. Yeah. Preller in the past at least has shown a preference for players who are under control. I don't know what it would take to get Danny Duffy off the Minnesota Twins, but
he's on the Royals.
On the Royals, one of those central teams.
He's having a really good year. 2.44 ERA.
But he's also just come off the injured list where he had some forearm issues.
Again, perfect.
Yeah, perfect Padre.
Meant to be a Padre. Maybe the
You're gonna blow your arm out. Might as well do it with the Padres.
Oh, gee.
And what's the latest on C.J. Abrams?
Oh,
Maybe
don't
the
know.
Padres' best prospect. Padres' two best prospects. I saw C.J. Abrams had to leave a game last night. Had to be helped off the field.
Right, the same day he was announced to the Futures roster.
Right. Well, listen,
Of course.
the Futures roster.
I know.
Teams
I know.
like that stuff.
That's
But that stinks for him. I don't think he's going anywhere. Well, going to be an interesting 30 days. Buckle up, everybody, because you're going to hear every rumor under the sun, because that's just the way it is when your general manager's A.J. Preller.
The Padres will be linked to every single possible name, right?
Including Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I can't. I don't even know what you'd have to give up for that.
Petco Park.
I would do it. Who says no? What do you mean? The Padres actually moved to Anaheim?
They just here's
All right. So this is an interesting question. Would you root for the Padres if they were playing in Anaheim with Shohei Ohtani, but the Angels were playing here?
What?
All right. Hour number 2 coming up next.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah, it's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.